Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the GFreak Speaks podcast. This is episode 9, and joining us today is DHAYANA, MISSDEUSGEEK, SENNAR. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for your time and being here.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
No, thank you so much. So, look, I've got so many questions. When I first came across you when we played together against each other in the HyperX tournament that we had, and I was like, why have I never seen this lady before? She has all this Xbox stuff everywhere. She seems to be a spokesperson for everyone. She has her own blog. She just seems to be everywhere. And as a person that's been in the scene myself for so long, I haven't seen you. And I'm like, I've got to figure out and find out who this lady is. So that's why we had to get you on the podcast. And you are the first female guest on the podcast, which is absolutely awesome. I've been wanting to get some females on, and I feel like you're the perfect fit for it. So tell me a little bit about yourself as well as the people that are listening right now. Let's start up with, who are you today?
Who am I today? Today I am... that is actually a hard question. I like to say that I'm a content creator / advocate for, most importantly, diversity in gaming. I'm very passionate about making sure that everyone is represented, especially people of color and women. So that's, I guess, who I am today. Is more focused on the advocacy side of things, with a sprinkle of content creation on the side.
Yeah, fantastic. See, you just seem to be covering everything, really. From an outsider looking in, like, you only listed off a couple of things, but on the outside looking in, I'm like, what doesn't this lady do? So when was gaming first introduced into your life?
Probably around age 3 or 4. I grew up with 4 uncles who were really big into gaming, and so I spent a lot of time watching them play Doom, Wolfenstein, Mortal Kombat. And interestingly, back then, there wasn't a thing about, you shouldn't let little girls play video games, or at least they didn't think so. So I would play Mortal Kombat, with the fatalities and all that with them, as a very, very young girl. So yeah, it was very early on in my life.
Who was your favorite character in Mortal Kombat?
It's always Sub-Zero. It's never wavered. Sub-Zero all the way.
What about Sub-Zero? Is it that just gets it for you?
I don't know. I think it's I think as a kid it was because he looked cool.
Yeah.
He had like the blue vest and like the mask, and he just looked really cool, but in an intimidating way. Whereas now I think it's just he always gets flack for being the villain in the Scorpion Sub-Zero feud.
Yep.
But there's actually a really interesting backstory to his character that I don't think enough people really know about, and so it's again that underrepresentation, the lack of diversity when it comes to his story being shown.
Absolutely. So when we were talking just before the podcast started, you were telling me about that you're in a part of the marketing team or in charge of Funimation ANZ. So for people that are listening right now and watching, if you're watching on the YouTube channel, but explain us through what that company is about and how you came across being part of that company.
So Funimation started out as a very US-centric company, and I actually came into work in the space in anime distribution for a company called Mad Men. So I think a lot of Aussies might know or have heard of Mad Men because they do both anime as well as really independent indie films. So it's a very local company, started off 25 years ago. And what happened was Funimation essentially bought the company. And so we've transitioned from Mad Men into Funimation ANZ. I guess Funimation is really trying to grow anime globally. So they've, taken a very strategic approach to having different companies around the globe. So we are the ANZ branch. And so I guess I found myself in Mad Men and now Funimation because I used to review anime. So when I started my blog, one of the things that I did was review anime because I was just such a big fan of anime content. So much so that I got to know a lot of the key members in New Zealand, which is where I moved from originally. And, you know, when you build relationships and you get to know the content and you have the right skills, you can apply for the job you want. And sometimes things just work out and you end up getting it. And that's how I ended up in the company. And now I manage basically all the anime movies you see in cinemas, a whole bunch of merchandise. So if you go to JB Hi-Fi, for example, and you see cute little Studio Ghibli plushies, well, that's all marketed by me.
There we go. The lady behind it, hey? The lady behind it. Love to see it. Hey, speaking of anime, okay, I don't really go out there and source to watch it. The only anime is the very stereotypical, like Dragon Ball Z that I watch, One Piece, Avatar, but recently I've just finished watching the Seven Deadly Sins, and I love that. So, what's your favorite animes that you've watched? Like, give me a top 3.
Top 3. Okay, well, definitely Death Note. Death Note was one of the first anime series that I really got into. Naruto is a classic for me. I absolutely love Naruto. And the third one would probably have to be... I feel like I can go with the stereotypical names like Attack on Titan, Demon Slayer, but everyone loves that. So let me think of something that no one's heard of that I really enjoy. Golden Time. Golden Time is a good one. It's
What's
a really
Golden
nice,
Time?
quirky rom-com.
Okay, a rom-com anime. See,
Plenty of rom-com animes that are actually so well done.
Okay, I'm surprised. And so, do you watch that like lone wolf that, or do you watch that with your partner, or how do you?
All the anime I've watched have been with my partner.
Yep.
So I guess that's the benefit of having someone who's as nerdy as I am in a relationship.
Love it. Hey, match made in heaven. Hey, the first dinner date would have been like, "What's your favorite anime?" Yep. Okay, we can go further then.
Pretty much, actually. Hit it right on the nail.
I love it. That's freaking awesome. What was the other thing I was going to ask? So, with the anime, I know that Nadeshot, he always talks about Hunter x Hunter. Have you ever watched that before?
I've not seen it, but I've heard it's one of those classics that are up there that you kind of have to watch.
Okay. I haven't. I've only heard of it through him, and I've never seen it. I don't even know what it looks like. But I was going to ask you about. Can you tell me about it? Because I want you to tell me what it is, being like an Aussie from New Zealand and in this region. Because I know that he probably has like a different opinion about it, being from America and whatnot. But look, anyway, moving on from that, I really want to delve into what we were talking about earlier as well, about being ANZ's first Xbox MVP person. So for people that don't understand, what is Xbox MVP? And how was it like being the first? Run me through the emotions of that.
Well, the Xbox MVP, it's essentially a program or an award for community members who have essentially gone above and beyond to either do something really special for the community or support the Xbox community in a very profound way. Someone who, I guess, goes above just being a gamer, not just sitting and enjoying the games, but actually doing something with the rest of the community. And I guess a lot of us have either set up communities or charities or have done, something a bit more than what you would expect an ordinary content creator or a gamer to do. And so Xbox awards us these titles. And essentially what happens then is you get a nice little award, which looks great on your shelf. But you also get invited to essentially be the kind of, the test group for Xbox when it comes to any new services or products that they're working on. So a lot of times it's a bit of work, there have been a lot of 6 a.m. wake-up calls to attend town halls and answer feedback forms and surveys just to talk about what we think would work best for the community. So it's an award, but it's also a bit of work, so to speak, which, I'm really grateful for, because it means that, I get to share my thoughts and opinions and help shape the next feature or product that Xbox is putting out there. What was it like being the first? It was a bit surreal. it's not a program that is essentially recognized in Australia and New Zealand. It's very much a US-centric or more global-focused program. So half the time when I tell people here, they're like, oh, that sounds great, but it's not really something we do here. So I'm like, okay, that's great. That's all good.
Well,
I still appreciate it anyway.
Absolutely. And I think that that's kind of like what you just said there, how people are like, oh, okay, congrats. The whole thing about it, that our industry that we're in right now, which is why we're having this conversation, everyone is kind of like that in general. So if you say that you work in gaming or you're working in marketing, and then you also have these other things on the side, people are like, oh, that's great, but what is that? What is esports? What is gaming? What is what you used to play? Mortal Kombat? You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those things. So that's the industry that we're in. And to get that award, obviously you have to work hard for it, but that's freaking awesome. That trophy would be cool. I haven't seen it, but that would be definitely up the top of the shelf, surely. Get dusted weekly, something like that, daily, dusted off, polished up. That's awesome.
You'd be surprised. It's a bit neglected, unfortunately, but I'll get to it.
Too many awards do we have?
No, not enough. Not yet.
Not enough. Fantastic. So I really want to understand the inspiration that behind when you created Attack on Geek, and you came up with that idea and the concept, and how long ago was that, and what was the motivation behind it?
It's actually a really funny story. It was something that I never thought I would do. To be honest, I never ever anticipated that I would run a blog turned website that would feature just almost everything content, pop culture related or gaming related. It started about 6 years ago now. After I watched the Fantastic Four reboot, which as a very, very stout comic fan who grew up collecting Marvel comics and reading all of the vintage, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, X-Men comics, I was so incredibly disappointed with the reboot. In fact, I absolutely hated it with a passion.
Yeah.
And, in New Zealand, it's not really something that a lot of people talk about. It's not something you can just meet up at a bar and just start having a conversation with someone about. And so I figured, well, I need to vent my feelings. So I created a blog, just a really basic free blog, and wrote my, I guess, review of the film. And it ended up getting a lot of hits, to the point where I was like, you know what, I really enjoy doing this. I enjoy the discussions that result from my reviews. And so I started writing more and more, and it really was film reviews first, and that turned into anime reviews and comic book reviews. And then I met my partner, who was, a games coordinator at JB Hi-Fi, so he lived and breathed games, and he streamed for Xbox at the time as well. And so I love telling the story because it gets on his nerves, but
Yeah.
Essentially, when you are dating a gamer, as someone who only dabbles in games, not fully invested and going all in on like raids and things like that. So he was that kind of gamer. He would spend hours on end playing video games. In fact, there was the one occasion where he was playing Destiny and was in a raid with his roommate. And we had a date that night. And so I came in and was like, okay, we're going to be late. And he's like, oh, no, but I haven't finished this raid. It's only a few more minutes. A few more minutes is never a few more minutes. And so I ended up sitting there just watching him. And I was like, this is ridiculous. I've spent so many days waiting here for him. I've got a blog. I'm going to write about games now. I'm going to... I'm going to delve in. I'm going to enjoy this the way he does and see how that works out for me. And now 6 years later, this is what I do as a side hustle.
Yep.
So really, it's all just happened just because.
You know what I've spotted? Okay, I'm putting the positive linear correlation together right now. I don't even know if that just made sense, but I'm putting that together. And this is a woman that is fueled by hatred for to make a blog. You don't like the Fantastic Four, and then the partner is stalling you for a date. Hilarious. So you just make a blog. Fair enough. You know what was funny? I actually had a gentleman on before, Doug, Modern Warzone. I don't know if you know him or not. He reports everything on Call of Duty and Halo and everything now. And he reported that because he was one of the first in the world to know what Warzone was, as it was leaked and whatnot. And pretty much he, like you, except he was excited about this, and wasn't let down. He was excited that Warzone was coming out, and so he decided to put up blogs and whatnot. And now that's his full-time gig, and whatnot, which is insane. So it just goes to show to the people that are listening at home that, you know, if you're passionate about something, no matter if it's, you know, you love it or you love to hate it or something, I don't know, then that's it. Bada bing, bada boom. So that's great. That really is. And that's funny. I've definitely been in that situation myself where the missus is standing there just there. And I'm just like, 3 more minutes. But a game of Warzone doesn't go for 3 minutes. So I can tell you that much. Did he win at least?
I can't remember for the life of me. I just know he didn't win our argument.
Oh, I think that's probably that's the big boss battle. That's probably the one that matters the most, isn't it?
Well, I mean, to be fair, after that happened, we now do Attack on Geek together. So I suppose it all worked out.
There we go. And what was the inspiration behind the name?
Well, I was thinking of something a little bit more pop culture, anime related. So Attack on Geek, I guess, stems from Attack on Titan. But I really like the play on words where I essentially wanted to change, which I guess I still do, the stereotype around what being, you know, a geek is. You know, back then, like years ago, being a geek is an insult, you know, it's looked down upon, and people don't really know what you're talking about when you talk about all these geeky stuff. So Attack on Geek is basically attacking the stereotype of the word geek.
Yep.
And that's really the way in which my community is built as well. It's built around really trying to change that stereotype and making geekdom cool, and that it's okay to just enjoy your passions and be open about it.
Okay, fantastic then. It definitely does make you think, and it changed my perception of what you just described to me as. I'm like, well, I'm wondering what does it mean? So it's good to get an explanation about what Attack on Geek is. It's technically attacking the geek stereotype, which I love that. I love it. That's
No, we don't attack geeks. We attack the stereotype.
The stereotype, specifically the stereotype. Okay. But yeah, I love it. That's freaking awesome. So to segue from that, I want you to all the women that are listening right now in the podcast, I really want you to run me through what the world, the Women's Institute of Gaming is, the Women's in Game, the award that you won there, and take me through that process of what it is to win that award.
Women in Games essentially is a global organization bringing women in games, whether they are content creators or devs or, you know, just advocates, bringing them together to really help build a safe space for women through networking opportunities, career nights. It is really just, I guess, aimed to help women get involved in this space in a safe, welcoming, and I guess productive way. So it's a really big global organization that really does help a lot of aspiring women in games come up into being in this industry, particularly around their careers, because, you know, it's not easy getting a career in gaming, especially as a female. So it's a really interesting organization because you've got ambassadors all over the world who are essentially there to help foster, I guess, the young girls in their region. And so I'm one of those here for Australia and I guess New Zealand as well. In terms of the award, I can't really say anything about how I won. I mean, I was shortlisted, and through the amazing community that I have who must have gone and voted for me.
Yep.
yeah, it just ended up being a voting type awards. And yeah, I guess I somehow made it. That really goes to show that, you know, I have a really, really amazing community, most importantly. It wasn't anything special that I did, I don't think anyway. I just know that the people that I have in my life and who have supported me throughout the 6 years that I've been doing this are as determined to see women and women of color doing well in this space as I am. So I think a lot of that and a lot of what I do resonates with them. So I'm really grateful for them because this is their award as much as it is mine. So beyond that, I have no idea why I won. In fact, I woke up thinking this must have been a dream because it's really weird.
Yeah, well, I think that was well spoken and well said. Excellent. I feel like that's not the first time you've ever been asked that question either. So I'm trying to do something different here. But no, that it really is awesome to see how the community can gather and get behind a spokesperson like yourself. And obviously, you know, from speaking to you and engaging to you today, you're absolutely an extremely well presented and well spoken person, which is, you know, you represent me as well. Like, you know, represent all of us in our country, and it's fantastic to have someone like yourself in representing us, which is awesome. So, for the next thing that I was wondering is that, what is some advice that you would give to male or female that would want to get into the industry and just have an opportunity, have a shot? What's the advice that you give them?
The biggest thing that I would advise anyone really is to not give up, because there are so many challenges and a lot of obstacles in this space, especially here in Australia, New Zealand, where it's not as big of an industry compared to the UK or the US. You are going to get setbacks, you are going to get knocked down, but just don't stop giving it your all, especially if it's something you're passionate about. Do it because you love it and keep going, because there will be a turning point where the fruits of your labor will benefit you, and you know, either you will end up becoming a content creator working with some great brands, or you'll get a job in the industry. It's not impossible. It's at the end of the day, it's perseverance and determination. And honestly, that's how I did it. I just kept going. You know, I mean, I've been through my fair share of hardships to the point where I have sat late at night in tears thinking, is this even worth it? I'm not getting paid for half the things I do. Is it even worth it? But, you know, when you love something that much and you believe in something that much, you just keep going, and it does end up working out in your favor.
Absolutely. And so, how do you describe your job to your parents? Because I know that, you know, when other people that come on the podcast and ask the same question to them, they have different answers and whatnot, because some people's parents are a little bit older, a little bit younger. Some people aren't with the culture or whatnot of how everything's trending and whatnot. So how did your parents take it when you were involved with all these things and now you're involved full time with gaming? So how did they take it?
They were really supportive. I think it's the fact that I'm doing it outside of a full-time job that earns me a salary and can take care of my bills and all that.
Yep.
It's a lot easier for them to kind of accept. And because it started off as nothing more than just a blog and something I was doing as a hobby here and there, I guess it was easier for them to understand what I was doing. And as it grew, so too did their mindset. You know, they were so supportive of me when I was on Mixer as a partnered streamer. And during the period where I was, you know, trying to apply for partnership, they were there watching every stream. They were there telling all their friends about it. Even, you know, now with all the different things I do, my dad actively shares it with the rest of the family who has no clue what I do. But, you know, he's there really supporting me. And I think it really helps that they are very open-minded. A lot of what I've done have been possible because of how open-minded they are. Even if they don't get it, they are willing to understand as much as they can, and, you know, do their best to learn and help wherever they can. And yeah, it's been just amazing having people like that as not only your parents, but people to support you and just be like, yes, do whatever you love. We'll help you along the way. And if you have any setbacks, you know, we're always here. Parents are great like that, aren't they?
They are. They definitely are. And, you know, they support you no matter what. Obviously, they, you know, if you're doing the wrong thing, then they'll, you know, whip you back into line and say, hey, I think that you should be, you know, a gentle nudge in the right direction, which is what, you know, we always need in our lives and whatnot. But look, it's great to see that, you know, as a general consensus, everyone's parents are very accepting of what their son or daughter does. And it's fantastic. It really is fantastic because it's an evolving industry. It's something that is developing so fast, and we're in a $1 billion industry now, where we're predicted to be $3 billion next year, suddenly. So that's a bit of a fun fact for you there, Diana. But yeah, it's just a rapidly evolving industry. And who would have thought when 6 years ago, even like when you first started, you weren't even thinking about doing this, you know, full time and whatnot, but you would never have guessed that it would have got to the point of where it is today. And that's the crazy thing about it, which is unreal. It's mind blowing. But I want to know what your vision is for women in gaming for the next 5 years, and even if you want to start locally in Australia and then you want to go globally with your answer.
I mean, personally for me, I would love to see in 5 years that, you know, the mindset of everyone in the industry, whether they are just players who play for fun, right through to, you know, senior leadership in the, I guess, publishing brands or dev companies. I'd love to see them just accept women as gamers.
Yep.
You know, we're all the same. We all love games, and we're all equally skilled. There's no barrier to entry. There's no real distinguishing feature in a male compared to a female that makes them better, that sort of thing. You know, I'd really love for that mindset to change. It's just so disheartening watching women stream and having them just have to turn their mic off or their audio off because they're just being bombarded with hate. I think there was a recent viral video on Twitter of this young woman who's playing Halo, and her teammates were just disparaging her with just insults. And, you know, I really, really hope that changes, because what does that do? What does that benefit gaming? It doesn't in any way other than just gatekeep it. So I'm hoping that will be the case. I don't know if it will ever, you know, be fully something that will go away. I think it's going to take a long time, but, you know, I really hope that, you know, not just gamers, but also in terms of hiring processes, that women are given just an equal shot based on their skills rather than their gender. I mean, 5 years is not a long time if you think about it. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
Only reason I said 5 years was it's a rapidly fast developing industry, so that's why. And 5 years just goes so quick. So that was the thing behind it. But it would be great to see, like, you know, I don't know how many. You could probably answer this for me, but are there how many females are competing in the top leagues of any game right now that you know of? Oh, we might have lost you. Oh, there we go. You're back. Okay, go again. Sorry.
I can't put a number on it because I don't really watch esports.
Oh no!
I should.
Oh no! We'll meet that. We'll meet that.
Well, I mean, I don't watch competitive gaming, but I do know a lot of women who are involved, whether they're at right at the top or whether they're just involved in, you know, just having their own leagues and playing games and competitive games. I know that there's definitely a lot of women who are in the top leagues. They're just not really shown as much.
Yep.
I mean, that's my biggest thing when I push for diversity and inclusivity. It's not just, hey, have more women. It's change your marketing, change your advertising, because all we see are male gamers. So, you know, I think that's the thing that I would really love to work on and also see change is I want to see those females who are at the top competing in, you know, I don't know, League of Legends or Valorant or what have you.
Well, you watch, okay? I reckon in the next 5 years. So you obviously know who Optic Gaming are, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
So they'll probably sign, I reckon, because Hector, who's the CEO, he has a wife and daughter. So he doesn't have his sons are his team, you know, like all the boys that compete there. So I think that being a guy with two women, significant women in his life, I reckon that they'll sign a women team in some sport. And Optic never do they never sign a bad team. So it's obviously going to be a sweaty, really good team that can compete and kick ass. So they just signed Holly, who is Karma. Do you know Karma? Damon Barlow, 3-time Call of Duty world champion. His wife, she also streams Call of Duty and she's a great FPS player as well. And that was their first female signing that I know of. So I reckon, you know, we're going to have Optic and FaZe and you watch. I think that it comes from the top down, and we look up to Optic, FaZe, TSM, Cloud9 and whatnot. Obviously it is a market as well. So I think that it's an untouched space. And so even with work right now, we're targeting a lot of females in my work right now with the company that I'm with BuddyBet, which is a company where it's peer-to-peer betting and whatnot, in esports and everything, anything, reality TV or whatever. But I think that they'll do a great job if they can market a female team. That'd be game changing coming from the top. And what game would it be? What do you reckon? I really don't know personally.
It's hard to say, to be honest. I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean, a lot of people think women just play mobile games, but there's a lot of out there crushing it on all the FPS games. I mean, I myself, I absolutely love action adventure games, but yeah, it's hard to say. I don't know. Valorant's taking off. Like that's always on my feed. I don't pay as much attention to it because I don't play the game, but usually very consistently seeing a lot of women talk about Valorant. So could be that. Could be the new Riot Games fighting game, which if it is a fighting game, I'll definitely play it.
Here we go. Who you want to sign? Do you want Chiefs to sign you up or what?
I don't know. I like being a free agent.
Oh, the free agent. No, sorry, I won't take you off. Nah, I'll just be in the. Jeez, you're a cool cat, aren't you? You know, knocking back all the big offers.
I think there's something to be said about, you know, doing your own thing and not being hold to any one person. So, I mean, I come from a legal background, so I manage myself pretty well in that sense. So, yeah, being a free agent helps.
No, that's awesome. I love it. Then you can also say, well, this team was offering this much and this team's offering this much. Can you match that? And then, you know, then you kind of, the ball's in your court. Obviously, it's nothing new to you, a veteran like yourself in the industry, which is awesome. So I'm telling you what, I love scrolling through the feed and you've got all these photos of all the Xbox things happening and whatnot. Do you have the Xbox Gucci collection? You don't have that?
No.
Surely.
There's actually a lot of Xbox stuff that I've been eyeing that I don't have. I think, you know, that's the problem with being in Australia and New Zealand is we don't get a lot of these products.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be willing to pay like I'd give my kidney for one of those, but it's not available here. So
you know what kidneys? You know how much a kidney is?
I don't know. Mine's pretty cool though, so I'd say it holds a lot of value.
A kidney, a regular kidney, not a cool one, is like 30 grand. So that's a lot for a Gucci Xbox.
Have you seen the prices of a Gucci bag? How
much is the Gucci Xbox though? Do you reckon?
I don't know how much the Xbox One is, but generally top of the line, high-end fashion bags.
Well, it's totally worth it then. Go for it. This is the moment. What other things you've been eyeing off from Xbox that you want? What are they? Describe it to us.
Let's see. I mean, I just picked up one of the new Xbox 20th anniversary shoes, so I'm waiting for that to come in the mail. It's hard to say. I get the mini fridge if that becomes available here. That's
mini
definitely
fridge?
something I've been.
What?
Yeah, look it up. It's the Xbox Series X mini fridge. I think it's currently available in US, Canada, and the UK.
Yeah, it is. You're absolutely right. That looks cool. How do you not have one of those?
You've got available here.
You've got to flex your stuff. I'm a freaking goddamn ANZ's first Xbox MVP and representing women's of Xbox. What are they doing? You know, they should be looking after you, man, not just leaving you in the dark. It's supposed to be the Christmas.
That's what my wallet is for.
It's the Christmas period, okay? They didn't hear that. They didn't hear that. It's what the wallet's for. That you want a fridge now, and we want to put that next to you, so then you can tell your partner that you're going to be 5 minutes when you're not, when you're hanging out with your fridge, okay?
I already told him I'm putting it in the bedroom and having it stocked with drinks for late night drink sessions. Not that I would actually wake up and drink, but
what's the drink of choice?
Have it in the room.
What's the drink of choice?
If it's gonna be cold, most likely a Pepsi Max, to be honest. Okay. I'm really simple like that.
Fair enough. Pepsi over Coke. Love it. That's a big debate for the comments to say. What do you guys reckon in the chat? But one last question before you go is that where do you store your butter? In the fridge or the pantry?
Fridge.
In the fridge? I'm surprised because you're from Melbourne, so our weather's a little bit different to what everyone else is used to.
Well, I mean, I've always put the butter in the fridge.
Have you?
Just have it.
Okay. The debate is that right now, my community and we actually, and every time I ask someone this question, the podcast, it's an eyebrow raiser. It's like the Rock. Can you smell what the Rock's cooking? But it's, look, I keep it in the pantry personally, only because I don't like having fresh bread and getting the hard Devondale butter and like it kind of balls up and shit. And you're like, oh, my sourdough bread. So there's nothing worse in the morning than that happens. One person came on and said, oh yeah, my friend's mum actually puts it out. She wakes up before him and she leaves it out for an hour on the bench. So then it's nice for him. And I'm like, oh my God. I couldn't believe that. I'm like, does she also do up his shoelaces as well and stuff?
Oh my gosh. I mean, parents, right?
Parents, that's right. So anyway, but look, appreciate you so much for coming onto the podcast. Where can everyone find you? What socials? Shout them out now.
I guess Twitter, Instagram, I'm MISSDEUSGEEK everywhere. Otherwise, you can find myself and my partner on Attack on Geek on Instagram, Twitter, the website. We're everywhere. Just Google us.
Just Google us. Love to see it. The big timer. Thank you so much for coming on for the podcast. Appreciate it again. And have a fantastic goddamn holiday evening. Until next time, remember to be safe, stay swell, and as always, boom baby.